Once upon a time, in the bustling city of Rome, there lived a young man named Marcus. Marcus was not unlike many of us today. He struggled with distractions, temptations, and the constant battle to stay focused on his goals. He wanted to be disciplined, to have strong willpower, but every day felt like a fight against his own mind. One evening, while wandering through the city, he stumbled upon an old scroll in the market. It was a letter from Seneca, the great Stoic philosopher. Little did Marcus know, this scroll would change his life forever. The letter spoke of willpower, not as something magical or unattainable, but as a skill that could be trained, much like a muscle. Seneca wrote that true strength came not from avoiding challenges, but from facing them with courage and wisdom. Inspired, Marcus decided to follow the Stoic path to strengthen his willpower. He began with small steps, knowing that even the longest journey starts with a single stride. The first lesson Marcus learned was the power of awareness. Stoicism teaches that we cannot control what happens to us, but we can control how we respond. Every morning, Marcus would take a moment to reflect on his day ahead. He asked himself, what temptations might arise? Where might my willpower be tested? By preparing his mind, he was no longer caught off guard. When his friends invited him to drink late into the night, he was ready. He had already decided that his health and discipline were more important than momentary pleasure. Next, Marcus practiced the art of delayed gratification. The Stoics believed that denying oneself small comforts made the mind stronger. So Marcus began with simple exercises. On hot days he would resist the urge to drink cold water immediately, waiting instead for a few minutes. When delicious food was placed before him, he would take a small portion, savoring it slowly rather than indulging without thought. These small acts of self-control trained his mind to resist bigger temptations. Another key lesson was embracing discomfort. The Stoics were firm believers in voluntary hardship, putting oneself in challenging situations to build resilience. Marcus started taking cold baths in the morning, something he dreaded at first. But with time, he noticed something remarkable. The discomfort did not break him. Instead, it made him stronger. He realized that if he could endure the shock of cold water, he could endure the hardships of life with greater calm. Marcus also learned the importance of focus. In a world full of distractions, the Stoics preached the value of single-minded attention. When Marcus sat down to work, he reminded himself of the words of Epictetus, "If you seek truth, be prepared to suffer, for the truth is often bitter." Instead of jumping from task to task, he dedicated himself fully to one thing at a time. If his mind wandered, he gently brought it back, like training a restless horse to stay on course. But perhaps the most powerful lesson was the practice of negative visualization. The Stoics advised imagining the worst-case scenarios, not to live in fear, but to be prepared. Marcus would ask himself, what if I lose my job? What if my friends abandon me? By facing these fears in his mind, he realized that even the worst outcomes could be endured. This mental exercise stripped away his anxieties and made his willpower unshakable. As weeks turned into months, Marcus noticed a profound change within himself. Where once he had been swayed by every passing desire, now he stood firm. He no longer feared hardship, for he knew it was the forge in which his willpower was tempered. When others complained of their struggles, Marcus met them with quiet strength, knowing that every challenge was an opportunity to grow. One evening, as he sat by the fire, Marcus realized that the greatest reward of Stoicism was not just stronger willpower. It was freedom. Freedom from the tyranny of impulses, from the fear of failure, from the need for constant comfort. He had become the master of his own mind, and in doing so, he had unlocked a life of peace and purpose. The story of Marcus is not just a tale from ancient Rome. It is a lesson for all of us. Willpower is not something we are born with. It is something we build, day by day, through practice and discipline. The Stoics knew this truth centuries ago, and their wisdom still holds the key to unlocking our inner strength. So, if you wish to strengthen your willpower, Remember the path Marcus walked. Start small, embrace discomfort, focus your mind, and face your fears. In time, you too will find the unshakable will of a Stoic. And with that, Marcus rolled up the scroll, knowing his journey was far from over. For in the words of Seneca himself, it is not because things are difficult that we do not dare. It is because we do not dare that they are difficult. The path to willpower begins with a single step. Will you take it?